Kofi hit his first A in week 8 of our program after starting at a D and feeling completely stuck every time a full pass paper landed in front of him. Now, he wasn't struggling because he wasn't trying, he was putting the hours in, but when it came to actually putting everything together under time conditions, it fell apart. And he got there without grinding more hours, without doing endless past papers, and without the generic YouTube approach that he'd already tried. He followed a clear, structured system, and the results speak for himself. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how he did it and how you can replicate the same thing. But if you want a personalized strategy for you or your team, you can always book a free strategy session with me by clicking the link below this video. Now let's get into the breakdown. So here I'm going to show you exactly how we got Kofi from a D to an A in 8 weeks. So first thing, let's have a look at his starter point. So Kofi started with us on a D in his initial assessment, and his aim when we dropped on our discovery call was to obviously study economics at Warwick. We noticed quite quickly that his main problem was exam application. He was fine when he was doing the content and in class, but when it came to actually applying the content to his exams, that's where things broke down, right? On top of that, there was a bit of self-doubt in terms of his ability, but there's also another element of false confidence that he knew, but he just knew he didn't have a framework to go into exam questions and actually answer that. Now that's the difference between GCSEs and A-level maths. Understanding how the content works, you can get away with that in GCSEs, but you can't get away with that in A-level maths. You need to know how to apply it and look at exam questions and being able to apply it to exam questions too. So that's where things tended to break down. In terms of the studying side of things as well, we looked at his study structure. He didn't really have an efficient way to systemize and structure his revision as well. So we knew we had to dive real deep in terms of planning what that looked like for him, as well as his other subjects as well. We also found out that he worked with a previous tutor before as well. So he understood the elements in the traditional side of tutoring, but he was very unaware of everything else that he could be facing, the other problems that he could be facing outside of the tutoring itself. So he was just lacking a lot of clarity in terms of what he should be working on and what he should be doing outside of sessions as well. So that's his starting point with us. He also was procrastinating a lot. We see this a lot with kind of like our year 12 and year 13 students as well. So we just needed to find a way to systemize things, but also not overwhelm him to the point where he just didn't do the strategy as well. So we needed to find a way to balance everything as well with him. So that's his starting point as well. But from the jump, from the first discovery call, I knew he was very ambitious. He just needed a system and a structure to get him there. So we identified that he had a structural problem and an exam technique problem. So that was the reason why he was on a grade D. Now the first thing that we put into place with Kofi is what we call our silver-plated strategy, right? Now what this means, this is not a generic revision timetable, but this is a specific problem directly for the student. So in Kofi's case, his main problem was his exam technique and application. He understood the content when guided, but struggled independently. The discipline and structure side, so he needed a plan and needed someone to help him stick to it, and then needed that pressure and external accountability to stay on track. That's just naturally the way he liked to work as well. The aim for him was to obviously build a solid exam strategy, learn to break things down, full exam questions, under time conditions, and all of this information is really good for our tutors to look at and be like, okay, how does Kofi love to learn? What's the best way to really understand exactly where he wants to be and where he doesn't want to be? That's the information based on obviously the discovery call. On top of that, it was important for me to understand exactly what Kofi wanted out of this as well, right? So Kofi was working with us for 16 weeks. So the first week, so week 4, he wanted to improve understanding of core concepts rather than just memorizing methods. From week 8, he wanted to improve accuracy. Week 12, apply knowledge. Week 16, feel prepared to adapt to unfamiliar or challenging questions. So I think the key thing with Kofi here, a lot of students come here and be like, I want an A star, I want an A, I want a B, or whatever they were looking for, right? Kofi, instead of looking at grades, he looked at genuinely the things that were needed in order to get an A or A star, right? Because if he could quickly recognize the most efficient method for each question, right, that will naturally lead him to an A or an A star, right? So just that thought process behind things before he'd even started with us was key and super, super, super important, right? So having these key targets also helped us with this plan as well. So based on this and his initial assessment, so we had a look at his initial assessment, we had chats in terms of where he was working at as well with his reg sheet as well. We drafted out his plan. So the first, obviously, he worked with us for 2 sessions, so we knew exactly what we wanted to get on with in each session, and we also signed up with his revision sessions as well. And on top of that, he was doing weekly mocks consistently, right? Now, the reason why we do this is because it provides us with a lot of data. So the first 2 sessions allows us, obviously, from the tutor's perspective, to know exactly where he's working at. We can see that. His homework will then prove to us whether he was taking on the information that we were showing him in class. And also the revision sessions, it will make sure that he has the system behind things, and from his perspective, he knows what he's working at. And then the past papers just put everything all together, so we knew, okay, how he was working, his homework, revision sessions were all towards his past paper, and it told us how he was able to apply his knowledge in exam conditions. So we drilled this in with him from week 1, week 2, and he stayed on top of everything, right? So this is the strategy side of things with Kofi. On top of that, we did weekly check-ins. So he had accountability sessions with myself to make sure he was sticking with the plan, or if anything needed to change with the plan. He came in there, he asked questions. We spoke about how his sessions were getting on. We spoke about his current grades, his long-term goals, and how he jumped. You can see here from week 6, he's gone from a D to a B in a space of 6 weeks, which is crazy. So he's jumped 2 grades in the space of 6 weeks, and he wanted to hit his A. That was his next kind of like goal. So that's how we make sure he's strategized and he's got weekly check-ins. Now, on top of this, between sessions, he also has a 24/7 feedback loop. So anytime he was struggling, Kofi was on it. Like, he was messaging us in his Discord group, he was messaging his tutor in the Discord group as well. Any questions he wanted to get clarity on, he put it all in there. You can see Shub is breaking down a lot of these questions with us as well. And again, here you can see he's looking for clarity. So it's not just one way to do things. He's asking if he could do it another way. Is there another way he could do things? Is there a quicker way he could do things? These are the small methods and the small little things that those students who are looking to get A's and A stars do, right? How can I do something quicker? How can I be more efficient in exams? So he was searching for that constantly, and obviously our tutor and our team was here to provide that as well. Now, in terms of the results that Kofi gets, so he did his initial assessment and he got 45 out of 104, which landed him at that grade D. And within 8 weeks, Kofi was grinding away. He was hitting D's, he was hitting B's, and he was consistently hitting B's. And by the time he did it, he got an A. So he hit his A. He finally done it. I was super proud of him. He put it into our wins channel. Everyone was bigging him up because they know how much work he put in to get there. It took him 8 weeks, grinding it away, and he hit his A. So starting from a starting point to a D, not being able to look at questions, to an A in 8 weeks, and being able to identify what he needed from a question is absolutely amazing. Now, you can see here the work that he put in. He went from a D, he was hitting B's, C's, B's, C's, and kept going up and down, up and down, up and down. You can see even sometimes here, he'd go back down to a D, he'd hit C, he'd hit a D, but every single time he did, he was learning from that, right? What did that look like for him? What could I have changed? Why did I get a D in this aspect? Why did I get a D in this paper? Like, he consistently went at it, right? Until he hit his first A there. Now, the reason why I say this is because from his perspective, hitting that A means that he had broken the plateau that he thought he had and that he set for himself, right? So after week 8, he hit his first A, right? So from there was a lot of things that was fixed. So firstly, he fixed his time management, because time management was a big thing for him because he didn't know what to look for when it came to exam questions as well. So we fixed that time management by fixing how he looks at exam questions. From there, he became much more confident and much more calm under pressure because he knew exactly what he was looking for, right? And also, just from a perspective of me looking at how he is now, he was the most engaged student on the program. So he was engaging in the conversations, he was engaging into the community, he was providing value where he can, and those are the type of students that you know has potential, you know wants to put his first foot forward in terms of getting him the grades he needs. So just engagement and connecting with the team would obviously get him the grades that he needed as well. So that was from what I was seeing as well. In terms of engagement, he was asking questions as well, reviewing his work as well, so he never let a question go unanswered. He always wanted to know why, stayed curious, again, which added to him getting these grades as well. And he became confident on any paper. So a lot of students usually look at pure and they're looking on pure, and then stats mechanics was not confident, but he was able to take that framework and apply it to the stats mechanics side as well, and that allowed us to be confident regarding that. The most important bit for him, I guess, is like his exam technique became natural for him. So he was able to look at questions now and know exactly what was asked from him. If he didn't, I was able to hint at him and he was able to figure it out rather than me giving him the answer, right? So that's exactly where I need students to get to, and this is exactly why we build this program as it is, right? So you can see here, if we focus purely just on sessions, right, just sessions itself, just this one-to-one sessions twice a week, none of this would have happened, right? He wouldn't have been able to systemize himself. He wouldn't have been able to actually understand exam questions and apply it, and being able to take feedback and apply it to the next one and keep increasing his grades, right? Which is why this system is so useful, right? So yeah, that's exactly the breakdown of how we got Kofi from a D to an A in 8 weeks. If you're watching this and thinking, yeah, this is exactly where we are, here's what I know. Most students and parents wait, hoping the next mock or a bit more revision will finally turn things around, and sometimes weeks or months go by with very little movement. But the moment someone helps them identify what's actually holding the student back and puts the right structure in place, progress accelerates far faster than most people expect. Kofi went from a D to his first A in 8 weeks, and he's not done yet. So if you want help building a clear plan like this, you can book a free strategy session with me by clicking the link below this video, and we'll look at your current situation, what's actually holding you or your team back, and what's realistically achievable with the right structure. Let's get the results you know are possible.